Some of you may be having tough times right now. This happens. Never let your losses turn you sour. You're the men that build your family's legacy. Nobody's going to understand you, apart from the men in this room. And they don't need to, because you know your mission. I'm going to do a presentation today on really what I learned over this last year. A reflection on the things I got wrong, what I did well, and really the improvements I'm going to make personally moving forwards into 2025. The first thing I want to touch on is the importance of creating a game that you love to play. Because a lot of us think about the game, and I find myself doing this, and I have multiple times throughout the year. I've always thought about the game as like, I want to complete the game. Maybe once I've completed the game, then I get to do what I want to do. I think the beauty of life and the beauty of your choice as an entrepreneur is to build the life that you don't need to escape from. And when I look back on my journey from 9 to 5 to where I am now, the first thing I did that really changed my life was I built the dream life before I had any money. I focused on how I wanted to live before I found the way to make money. And because I went and lived that life, because I took myself to Thailand and I realized in my head that that was what I wanted to do, that was how I wanted to live, the way of making money and this brotherhood and the things that I've done on YouTube, it found me in the end. So I think rather than in your head thinking there's a number or that you need to complete the game, you should try and live as close to that dream life right now, because that's actually just a choice. Most of us are a lot closer to what we actually want to do than we realize. And it could also be a nasty surprise to complete the game and go and do what you think you want to do and realize you don't actually enjoy it that much. So you've got to try and make that right now. Anything you want to do, don't put it off. Go and live the dream life now. If there's something you want to do, go and do it. Create a game you love to play, not one that you need to complete. The next thing is huge for me, and a discovery I think I had to make in 2024, because 2023 was so quick, it was such a massive expansion of my life in 2023. I never really had any chance to sit down and actually think about what was happening. I was caught in this acceleration of life that feels very, very good. 2024 was a bit of a different year for me. I had to make a lot of choices, moved to different places, left the place I love, Thailand, to go to Dubai for taxes and business reasons. And through that year, I realized through gaining momentum and losing it again, that we only have personal problems, all of us. There's no business problems, there's no life problems. You only have personal problems. And if you can solve these personal problems, the issues that you have inside yourself, and identify them, then life goes very smoothly. Unfortunately, for people like myself, and some of you might be the same, we can find a level of success without solving our personal problems, without 100% discipline all the time. And we get this level of success that gives us a false sense of security about who we are. I really want to go through what I think are fundamentals to take into 2025. The things that if you fix these, everything else is easy. Because I found discipline equals freedom. And a lack of discipline is not an issue for what you might think it is. It's not actually the immediate consequences of a lack of discipline that impact your life. It's not the thoughts of other people, which does get diminished, but sometimes it's not that important. The most essential part of discipline, more than anything else, more than any result, is what you think of yourself. And the lack of discipline erodes that sense of confidence. And the reason that's important is because to get anywhere, and the reason I've gotten anywhere in my life, is from taking quick action. The thing that allows you to take quick action is an undying confidence and self-belief in yourself. That confidence is cultivated on a daily basis through keeping your word to yourself. And if you don't keep that word to yourself, everybody else might still think that you're cool. You might still make a lot of money, but you know that you didn't keep your word to yourself. So when it comes to making those quick choices, making those quick decisions that allow you to take leaps and bounds in business, it's harder to make those decisions. You spend more time planning, spend more time thinking things over. You need more people's advice before you make a decision. So the number one asset to protect is your confidence in yourself. That's protected through discipline. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect at this. The reason I've learned this is because I'm very much not perfect at it. And I've felt the effects of that on my ability to act in certain parts of my life. So these are some things that I'll be doing in 2025. The little details that I believe make everything, that will take you from a good entrepreneur to a great entrepreneur, from a good person to a great person. If you're in the business of a legacy, building a legacy for your friends and family, these things, if you get these in order, everything will become a lot easier. So the first one's sleep. The reason I think sleep's so important, one thing I've noticed is sleep is your first line of defense when it comes to discipline. It's a lot easier to make a good decision after 8 hours sleep. And it's a hell of a lot easier to mess up and make the wrong decision after 4 hours sleep. If you do this consistently across the year, if you have an all-nighter once a month, twice a month, where you kill that sleep, and then your discipline lacks, starts to take you in a bit of a downward spiral, starts to kill that momentum. Number one asset for me to protect is sleep. Doesn't always happen, right? I know you don't sleep a lot, but you should sleep more. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes we have to work hard and things have to get done. But sleep really is the key to an easy and disciplined life. An easy life where things are easy and you don't feel overwhelmed or stressed with the decisions you have to make comes from sleep. There's a great book called Why We Sleep, which I read. If you really want to know how important sleep is, I would recommend reading that book. For me, I have a lot of things on my mind and on my plate, as a lot of you will as well. And I tend to get overwhelmed because I want to do 100 things in a day. And then I'll get to the end of the week and realize I didn't end up doing anything because I wanted to do 100 things a day and I didn't focus on one thing and then nothing got done. My absolute sort of live by rule now is you write no more than one critical task in the evening. So when you go to sleep and you've got your 8 hours, in that evening you should have a wind down where you go off your phone, you manage to get to sleep, look after yourself, and write a list of the things you need to do tomorrow. There should be no more than one critical task each day. If you can do that every day, just focus on one thing, which is easy, right? You wake up, you have one thing, you get all your concentration on that one thing. You don't have to deviate your focus. That one thing can be conquered each day. You do 365 things in a year, key critical lever-moving activities inside of your business. If you have more than one thing, so I think one critical task, maybe 2 subtasks, and then your daily things you have to do is like go to the gym and you've got to hit your nutrition, your supplements, all that sort of stuff. That doesn't count. But identifying that key lever-moving activity inside your business and just focusing on one thing per day. Just going, tomorrow, this is the most important thing I can do in my business. I know I have 100 other things to do. I am just doing this one thing. Once that is done and I have some energy, maybe I'll do another thing. Maybe it will spiral and I'll do another thing. But one thing, that's all you need to accomplish every day. That focus is so important, and overwhelm just kills time. You might think, oh, I could get more done today. You try and get 100 things done. The next day you're burnt out. It's better to have that consistent progress through the year. Wake up early and consistently. One that I've struggled with massively this year. As Bill and Max will know, sometimes I don't appear from my cave until gone 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Getting a lot better now. But I've found early mornings just kill late nights like 10 out of 10 times. I could think of myself as a night owl, say that I get more work done in the night. Realistically, those morning hours just set you up for a more productive life. So it's one of my things for 2025 is wake early, wake consistently, be super vigilant in protecting my sleep and my discipline. Complete part of the most important task as soon as you wake up. A lot of stuff in the online space is about morning routines, priming yourself for the day. I believe the most important thing you should do as soon as you wake up is work, because it's what puts money in your pocket. And I've done various morning routines, and I often find myself tired because I spent 2 hours focusing on a load of other stuff rather than the work I needed to do. As soon as you wake up, it's quite easy to go from sleep into deep work if you don't get distracted by social media. As long as you wake up and you go straight into a task, that kind of feeling of waking up and sleep actually lends itself very nicely to falling into a deep work block. So I would recommend a habit to take through in 2025. Wake up and start that most important task. Do 5-10 minutes on it. Then do your morning routine if you love your routine. I don't think morning routines are necessarily a bad thing. I just think work's the most important one. The thing that puts money in your pocket is more important than a 2-hour morning routine if you're not making money yet. You should be focused on getting cash flow. Never go 2 days without a workout. That's just a golden rule. 1 day is fine, you need a rest, you're hurting really bad. Never let that bleed into 2. You could take 1 day on, 1 day off if you need to, if your body's not healing properly. But never go 2 days without a workout. Best supplements I took this year, the ones that I actually use and consistently use and have felt benefits from, is creatine, which you should all be taking 5 to 10 grams a day, since this is a bodybuilding convention, and vitamin D. 10,000 IUs per day. I do vitamin D with K2. I found it massive for focus. If you're really struggling to focus, you've got a lot of brain fog, vitamin D3 is one that I just swear by. 10,000 IUs a day. When I started taking this, even though I lived in the sun, when I started taking this again, which was in Dubai probably 3 months ago, massive difference in my daily focus from 10,000 IUs vitamin D. Read daily. One thing I wish I'd done more of this year, and I've read a lot of books, probably 10. Read daily is just one of those habits that gets forgotten when life gets busy. And 10 pages a day isn't really that hard. And everything I've learned, looking at what took me from just a kid that wanted to go to university, when I was at school, I started reading self-development ferociously over and over again. Everything I've learned in life, every change in my mindset, the person that I've become, has been fueled by education, by books, by courses, by mentorship, by learning things consistently. And it's led me to, but books can lead you to a deep understanding of yourself and of the world. You get to speak to somebody that you probably never have the chance to speak to. Absolute geniuses in their field. You can buy a book for $10 and you can go through their mind. So if you're at a point where you can't surround yourself with the best people yet, or you're just on a solo mission, which I know a lot of you are, make sure to surround yourself with the best minds, and the easiest way to do that is to read. Use a rule of 4 hours deep work per day and identify tasks that actually move the needle. Needle moving tasks, in my opinion, is something that brings in your profit. Not your revenue, the majority of your profit. What's the highest profit generating activity that you can focus on a daily basis and spend as much time as you can doing that? For me, that's content. There's nothing that gives me a return on investment like content. And it becomes difficult when you run a business and there's many different arms. So many things that you could do in a day. So many different tasks you need to take care of. They all have to go on the back burner for that key task per day. Because there's one task, and that for me is content. Content keeps the machine running. Without the content, everything fails. But with content there, and only content, everything else can be sustained. You can delegate, you can hire. Find the one thing that you really need to focus on and do. And religiously stick to doing that thing for 4 hours a day. That's all you really need to put in. Even that's a little bit too much. At the start, you probably need to work more, but after a while, you want to delegate to the point where you spend a couple of hours doing your deep work per day and actually living your life. But 4 hours, if you can get 4 hours solid work out of yourself a day, proper work, that's a good day. Once you have momentum, do everything you can to keep it. One of the things that annoyed me in myself this year was the amount of times I gathered momentum, tried really hard on things, and then let it slip. I didn't particularly do too many of these. I did a few parties, few all-nighters, a little bit of alcohol, missed a lot of uploads. That one will get you if you're in the content grind. Missing an upload when you say, it's just that keeping a promise to yourself. You say you're going to post something on someday, and you miss it, and you miss it again, and then suddenly you feel like, you just don't have that energy anymore inside of you. That momentum is everything. That momentum will really carry you, and it compounds on itself over and over again. So it's hard to generate at the start. It's hard to get the wheel moving. But when you're going downhill, you have to keep it by any means necessary. And that's one of the biggest things to watch out for, is when you have that first success come through, or a lot of success come through. Keep your eye on the ball. Keep going for more. Keep extending that vision. Spend your time when you feel you need to release and let go. Spend that time productively. A lot of release and let go for people, I know, is parties and alcohol, kills your vibration, kills your momentum, takes you out of the plane of vibration that you've achieved through doing all the hard work, through building the momentum. You drink alcohol, brings your vibration down. Then you have to start all over again. You do that a few times a year, you find yourself exhausted. And then there's just other things like trips at the wrong time. We found a great period of momentum in our house in Dubai, and getting uploads back, new channels, new visions, doing really well, workouts on point. And for some fucking reason, I decided to fly to Turkey for a week and get new teeth put in my mouth. Took me out of the game for a week. And then for a month afterwards, I had tooth pain. In my head, some things you need to plan for a little bit better. That was just one of those things, like you wouldn't think about it, but it took me out of a period of momentum. We came back, had a load of issues with my teeth. I got veneers put in Turkey. Load of issues with my teeth after, pain in my teeth for a month. Took me out of the game for a little bit. So you have to sometimes think, is this the best time to do things? Should I just roll with my momentum? Try and keep it going. The best habit I picked up this year was the act of writing 3 pages daily in the morning. For anyone looking to do content creation, for any business person looking to get clear on their thoughts and their ideas and put them out into the world, I would recommend this practice. I learned this from the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Fantastic book that I recommend reading. Basically, as entrepreneurs, we have a surplus of things going on in our head. We have too many ideas, we're thinking about too many things all the time, and it needs to go somewhere. I do a practice where I write 3 pages of longhand writing. It's the same thing that Stephen King used to do to write his books. And he used to say, I only write when inspiration strikes. Luckily, it strikes every morning at 9 a.m. He would just sit down and he would write 3 pages. And he wouldn't worry about what was on those pages until he went back to edit and draft. This is the same with content creation. This is the same with anything. If you want to get the stream of creativity, your true magic for your content ideas, it doesn't come from you. Your great ideas come from the ether, I believe. You need a way to take those ideas and put them onto paper. You need a way to communicate with the higher power. That is turning up with the discipline to write every day for 3 pages. Now those 3 pages, you might think, fuck, what do I write 3 pages about? I'll just tell you how I do mine. When I sit down, there's normally a load of shit in my head going on. Things that I need to do, things that I'm worried about, personal insecurities. They all go down first. No harm in writing them. It's very good to get them out of your mind. So my first page, and it doesn't have to be for you, this is just how I do it. My first page is usually me complaining. Getting my complaints out onto the paper. After a page of complaining, you start to smile a little bit because when you zoom out on your life, it becomes a little bit funnier. When you look at the page, you're like, fuck man, what am I fucking complaining about? I'm such a depressing motherfucker. And then your second page starts to become, okay, that's a situation. Maybe how can I solve it? What do I need to do today? What's on my mind? What's a good thing on my mind? What am I grateful for? That's normally the second page, solving the first page, figuring out that it's not really that bad. And by the third page, this is normally when inspiration strikes, an idea. You normally, by this point, you start to get your ideas, a video idea, content idea. I think one of my best videos for the year was my authenticity video that we put work into. It came from the morning pages, came from 3 pages in the morning. I wrote the whole idea out in 3 pages, just came to me like that, one morning. Now, I've not been perfect at doing this, but I can absolutely guarantee it works. I wish I did it more often. It's one of my goals for 2025 is to do this every day religiously. So good for your content. If you sit down and you cannot write anything, you can't think of anything at all, write down for 3 pages, I cannot think of anything, I cannot think of anything, I cannot think of anything. The purpose of this goal is not what you write. A lot of it will be shit. It's the act of writing. As long as you're at the table putting the work in, that's where the creativity comes. You do that enough days in a row, you put the reps in enough days in a row, eventually that idea will come through. And one good idea in this space, one good idea in the social media space can change everything for you. So that's what you're turning up for. And at the same time, you're basically journaling. You're giving yourself a chance to vent, and all in all, I think it's an incredible practice. It's just a personal lesson. What I've learned buying lots of shit. These are some questions I now ask myself before I buy things, which I think will serve you, especially if you make a lot of money and you're not used to making a lot of money, or you just started getting money come in. You want to kind of get rid of it. You want to spend it. These are questions I ask myself. Will this make me more money? Will this make me enjoy working more? Or will it distract me from my work? Will this make me look and feel like working? And will this expand my mind? Also, invest in the best and nothing less. There's so much like little things I've bought that I should have just bought the fucking best thing of that. Just the best version of that from the start, so I didn't have to buy it 10 different times. Find things that make you want to do your work. So recently I invested in a Leica. I want to make cinematic content for YouTube. That's my dream, my vision 2025. Cinematic, movie style content, blow up the game, incredible productions. I invested in the camera. Why? It makes me want to work. It's like $10,000 camera. I invested in my own editing setup. All of that stuff makes you want to sit down and play with your new toy, essentially. But if you go and buy an actual new toy, it just distracts you from your work. So what you should do is buy the things that make you want to sit down and work, make you feel like working, make you look better, and are of the highest quality. One of those things I would recommend is a nice pen, especially if you want the morning writing practice. Mont Blanc pen, Mont Blanc notepad, bang. Because this signifies, these pens, the fucking $1,000 pen, signifies that your ideas are worth a lot of money. And that's an important thing. If you want to have any habit that goes forwards, make it a joy to do it. Never be afraid to invest in those things. Everything else, if the answer to these questions is no, avoid buying it if you can. And that's one thing I trying to do now better. I leave the store a lot without things in my hands, which is a good thing. And I wait 24 hours and come back. If I still want it, I go back and buy it the next day. Prepare to weather the storm. Luckily, I learned this lesson when I was young, because I've worked in sales jobs my entire life. Up until I moved to Thailand, I've always had the inconsistencies, as some of you will have experienced, of a unbalanced paycheck. 1 month I'm doing amazing, next month it's not so good. Then I'm doing amazing, not so good. So luckily I learned to manage my money and weather the storm, bad months, when I was younger. And I've taken that into business. And there's been a lot of times in business where things have gone massive and then cut back at least 50%. And we've always weathered the storm. We've always had cash reserves there. The thing that I would recommend for you is set a baseline max expenditure of 50% of your average revenue for the last 6 months. Take your last 6 months, not what's your best month, what's your average, split it in half. That's what your max, that's kind of your baseline. You know you're going to make that each month. Anything else is a bonus. Make sure you have 6 months expenses at all times. Do not live on your best months, this crazy high life. I'm sure a lot of you know this already, but it's one of those very important concepts, because the last thing you want is to be in a little bit of a down period, which is, it happens in business, it's just ups and downs. You're not going to grow every month on month. You don't want to be killed off and taken out of the game because you overspent in a down month, when the next month might be one of your best in business. So just take heed. When things are going well, store money away. Then when things are not going so well, you can relax and still make good decisions. Brings me on to another one. Remaining abundant in tough times. Some of you may be having tough times right now. This happens. Never let your losses turn you sour. Don't let your losses take you out of the game. They are the most beautiful gift of the game, which you only see in hindsight, after you've played for a little bit longer. You need to make sure that when you are in times of scarcity, times of trouble, one of the best ways to raise your vibration, raise your state, it's obviously gratitude for what you already do have, and to give away. A lot of people, when the money restricts, they cut their spending or they cut their giving. They no longer grab the bill. They no longer tip the waiter. All of that kills your vibration. If there's any time to tip more, and it doesn't have to be a lot of money, it's the act. It's relative to what you have. You don't have to give everything away. But when you release that of, I'm abundant, this is a signifier that I'm going to make more. It's internal belief. It's a very important vibrational frequency to remain on in terms of making money. When you get more, sometimes people restrict. Oh, it's going to get taken away, it's going to get taken away. What happens? It goes. It gets taken away. You remain abundant, you let that flow go through things whilst remaining safe, as we just talked about, keeping yourself protected, and you will weather those tough times. Success often comes with complacency. Try and avoid that as much as you can. When you do have success, try to remember what the struggle was like and continue to improve. But really, times of struggle are the best times, because you grow so much when you're forced to make it work. One of the great reframes in my thinking this year came from this book, 10x is better than 2x. Highly recommend it. Essentially what it is 2x thinking, doubling your profits, is what everyone thinks. Yeah, I want to double. Next year I want to double. Doubling what you're currently doing normally just requires more of the same work. Doing more of the same stuff you're doing now over and over again. 10x thinking, on the other hand, requires an entirely new mindset shift. If you look in your business now and you think, fuck, if we want a 10x, we'd have to change a lot. That's the thinking you need to do. Whether you reach 10x or not is irrelevant. The thinking, in order to get to 10x, is what will make you that 2x, because the systems change. You can't get to what you're currently doing at the moment, you can't get it to 10x, because there's issues, there's barriers, there's things you have to change. I've used this recently in my business. Another thing to remember, be ruthless with your time. Set boundaries, say no to 90% of things, and don't feel guilty about it. It's one of the things I've let go of in my life and have for a while, is feeling any feelings of guilt about anything that I do. Because guilt's a very low vibrational frequency, and even if you've done something wrong, the way that people manipulate you is by making you feel guilty. If you can be made to feel guilty about something, then people can manipulate you into doing what they want. Women do it all the time. If you no longer feel guilty, if you do not apologize for being who you want to be, if you don't apologize for protecting your time, if you don't apologize for going after your dream and doing what you want, nobody can manipulate you. You keep your own power. You don't give choice to anybody else in what you do. And part of that is being ruthless with your time. If you want to get to the top, there's going to be a lot of things you have to say no to. 90% of things you're going to have to say no to. Stay focused on the goal. Stay focused on the one thing. The thing that's making you your money. Stay focused on that thing. Say no to the going out. Say no to the things you've done 100 times before. You've been to the club. You don't need to do it again. The parties are the same. In my mind, I've been to a few of them now. They're all the same. In the end, you don't remember much about it. So be ruthless with your time. If you want to make millions, first you'll go into the solo entrepreneur space, make your first 100,000 or a couple 100,000. If you want a millionaire status, you want to make millions profit per year, you need to learn to delegate, and delegate effectively. And I struggle with this massively. I find it very, very difficult because I'm a fucking control freak about everything that I do. And I feel in my head, and I've had to overcome this belief, I do everything better than everybody else. I got an ego attached to it. Through this year, I really had to learn to give trust and ownership to other people. There's no point in hiring somebody if you can't give them trust and ownership over the job that they do. Because you're still doing the job in your head. And they're having to come to you to ask questions about doing the job right. And then, oh man, I've done this so many times. Then you berate them for doing it wrong and don't fucking let them learn. And you're paying somebody and you're still doing the job. And you're not letting them learn, not letting them grow. People, and we found this on our team, work so much better, work incredibly well when they're given ownership over their jobs and you trust them to grow and do their thing. Then the people will surprise you. Then people will come back with things you never could have thought of yourself. And you free up another part of your brain for the big ideas, for the big picture thinking. Another good book worth reading, Buy Back Your Time. Set an hourly rate on your time and value your time on the amount of money you want to make, not how much you're making now. If you want to take home $1 million profit next year, figure what that is, break it down into an hourly rate, 8 hours a day, 8 hours work a day, figure out your hourly rate. Do not sell your time for less than that amount. You are the person that commands your worth. Nobody's going to come around and give you your worth. No one's going to come around and say to you, I want to pay you more for this. That's your job. You have to command your worth. I think you've done this very well, Fabian. How much do you charge for top client, and you essentially do one-to-one boxing coaching, right?
I mean, for top clients now it's around 12 to 15 grand in 3 months.
$12,000 to $15,000, and you get clients. I've seen you picking up clients.
I get the best ones. Yes.
You've done a few. It works for multi-millionaires. Why? Because Fabian decided that his time was worth $12,000 to $15,000 to do something that there's guys in gyms in Thailand doing for $20 an hour. That's Fabian's mind, his ability to speak into existence, his ability to believe in himself. That's what every single one of you has. But nobody else is going to do it for you. Consistent increases in price and your worth is one of the easiest ways to year on year double, 3x, 10x your growth. Demand more. And where does this all come from? The ability to ask for more price, the ability to do all of this comes off the back of feeling that you're worth it, which comes off the back of daily discipline. It's as simple as that. Keep your promise to yourself, do that enough times in a row, get some receipts, increase your prices. It's very hard to increase your price if you don't believe in yourself. It's very hard to believe in yourself if you don't have discipline. Action, immediate action after today is the most important thing. I want today to be the start of momentum for all of you running into 2025. Start that today. Look after each other, and we're going to break out and do a couple of activities together. But this momentum you can start now, and it's started by any big ideas you've had today, anything you've written down, ideas that have come to your head, taking at least one piece of action immediately. Think less, act more, all the time. Bang, 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 bang. Just go, just do it. Get it wrong, correct it, do it again. Don't spend time in contemplation, and start now. It's such an easier way to do things when everyone else takes their foot off the gas for Christmas period, and you guys can just steam through. Just keep going now. A few books for you guys. 10x is better than 2x, which you talked about. This one I finished last night, about 2:30 in the morning. Endurance, Shackleton's Incredible Voyage. This is the story of Ernest Shackleton, who took an Arctic exploration team to Antarctica to be the first to cross the continent. And they got trapped there. Their boat crashed, they got trapped there for 2 years. And the whole thing's recorded through their diaries and put into a story. If you want to learn about leadership, how to be a better leader, how to face insurmountable odds, that book is a must read for every man in here. And you'll be gripped by it. That's why I was awake so late. I was getting to the end, I needed to see what happened. The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron, big life changer. She's the one that coined the term the morning pages. That's where I learned this. And if you want to go through the entire course, this book is basically a course on creativity, of reawakening what is, I believe, the most important part of every single one of you, the creative spark, the way you see the world. That's really, those creative sparks are what drive massive business success. This is about how to reawaken that when most of our life is focused on suppressing that. Most of our life takes us further away from that, makes us capitalistic and business-minded, and we lose the child artist that we have inside of us that is very magical. This is a very good book at bringing that back. Outwitting the Devil. I believe you should stay vigilant. The devil's always waiting. For me, I think I said to a friend of mine in Dubai, oh man, I'm so fucking disciplined right now. There's no way I'm ever drinking again or ever smoking again. And it's that thought that lets you take your guard down. And then all of a sudden, oh, not enough sleep, where should we go? Oh, little party tonight, bang. Momentum stolen. A few days off of work, bang, you've got to get it all back again. Outwitting the devil is all about that little devil on your shoulder, the one that's going to pull you multiple times this year off to a different course. And you need to know how to identify it, and you need to know how to battle it. and that's by Napoleon Hill. The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield, for any creators, an absolute essential on sticking in the game of creation. And Harry Potter, books 1 to 7, audiobooks, best thing to get to sleep. Listen to them every night pretty much. 30 minutes, lights out. Now this is the strategy that I'm going to use to achieve 4 years of growth in 2025. And just a quick word of warning for Christmas. If you can't give to the level that you want to give this year, and even I can't, because my goals are always far bigger than my current reality, as I think they should be. But if you can't give what you want to give to the people that you love, give what you can and get back to work. Normal people see holidays as a time that you need to rest and do all the drinking and all this different stuff. They're normal people. Every single person in this room is not a normal person. You're the 1% of men. The men that drive growth in the world. You're the men that build your family's legacy. You are not normal people. So take that on board over Christmas as a word of warning. Nobody's going to understand you apart from the men in this room. And they don't need to, because you know your mission and you know what you're doing. So with that being said, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm open for questions now, if you have any. Thank you very much.